And happy Friday, fight fans, and welcome to Inside the Fence, the official UFC talk show of No Game Scheduled. I'm your host, John Mastay, joined alongside, as always, my corner man, Drew the Rooster Johnson. Drew, we kind of knew this card was coming. We've been expecting this main fight for a while now, and finally we've reached it. But we've reached the Emerald City. We have reached the end of the yellow brick road, and this is the end of the pay-per-view era. This is the final card to ever be in the pay-per-view era. Over to Drew.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but there's one fighter in particular who was on the first ESPN Plus pay-per-view, and it's kind of fitting he's going to be on the last one as well, and it's going to be his farewell fight. So we're going to hop right into these fights and hopefully end the ESPN era with a major bang.
Yeah, hopefully not. And by bang, I hope ESPN explodes because they have not done a great job broadcasting these fights the last, however many years it is.
I don't even know.
As always, shout out to Joe at Bridges for getting us the 322 poster. It's up there now. By the way, Drew, we had this conversation. You and I both loved the card. I thought it was one of the best cards maybe ever of all time. However, people were upset because the final two fights were quote unquote he just laid on top of them. You don't know what you're watching.
I mean, you look at people who hating on the Wei Li and Valentina fight obviously don't understand the significance of that fight. Valentina made the third greatest female to ever put on MMA gloves look like she didn't even belong in the octagon, and those two girls are both in their prime. So I don't know what the people who hated the fight were watching. Anyways,
I hope Mackenzie Dern enjoyed her 25-minute title run because Wei Li's going to drop back down because there's no way she's built for that weight class. She absolutely got hammered. But 4 knockouts in a row, and people are complaining. Seek medical attention.
I mean, yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah. Let's move on to UFC 323, coming at you live from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, USA. Drew wants to talk about a couple of the prelims, a rarity. We've kind of skipped past the prelims the last couple times. We even skipped past Bo Nickel, and he made us absolutely regret that, his last fight. But Drew, go ahead. The prelim section is now yours.
For sure. I mean, it's kind of fitting that the last ESPN Plus pay-per-view has. I think it's the first time both of our favorite fighters have fought on the same card, if I'm not mistaken.
You're asking me? I don't know.
I think so. But yeah, so we'll hop right in. Macy Barber makes her.
Wait, did you say both of our favorite fighters? Like
both of our favorite fighters. Yeah,
it's definitely the first time that's happened. Definitely.
Yeah. Macy Barber returns after 21-month layoff due to injury, illness, yada yada yada, against Karine Silva. Most people are riding the Karine Silva horse pretty high, but when you have mid cardio and you're going against a veteran, we're going to take Macy Barber in this fight. I think she's going to win via third round ground and pound knockout. Silva's going to gas, and Macy's going to land top of her and just beat the brakes off of her. Anyways, that's it. Macy Barber by knockout. We'll go on to the main card.
I'm going to take Silva by Macy Barber not participating and leaving due to medical injury in the locker room. Let's move on to the
You didn't have to say that, so...
Maybe I did.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that, but let's hop in.
Last time Macy Barber had a fight, it was fight night or whatever, and Drew made me come over to his house to watch the main event of Macy Barber, and then we waited around for 45 minutes, and it did not happen, so I'm never going to forgive him for that. Let's move out to the first event of the main card, the light heavyweight bout. Drew, help me out with some pronunciations here.
Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov.
Those two guys. Jan is currently a minus 120. Guskov is a plus 100. This will be a close fight in the light heavyweight match. Two relatively high-ranked. A 5 is. I'm saying that because I don't know what you consider 11, if you consider that high or not, for the light heavyweight bout. Obviously, you and I both love fights like this when you get a guy in the top 5 versus someone near the bottom, and it could really make some waves in a weight class, and that's what we have here.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to stop right into that. Put some respect on Jan Blachowicz's name. This is the guy that took Izzy's zero in the UFC. Izzy was undefeated in the UFC, riding that middleweight strap high, and Jan Blachowicz went out there and made him look like he did not belong. This is a guy that's gone toe-to-toe with some absolute legends of the sport, and I do not get the disrespect at minus 120. That is my hammer play, my lock of the night. Give me Jan Blachowicz to win this fight. I know Bogdan Guskov says hot Uzbek prospect, but I don't see him being plus 100. I really don't know why this fight's even close unless I'm just missing something. But give me Jan Blachowicz, probably by unanimous decision.
This guy has gone the distance with pretty much 3 out of 4 of the last champions of this weight class. Went the distance with Pereira, went the distance with Ankalaev, and it was a draw, mind you.
Yes.
And then went the distance and won against Adesanya, as you just mentioned. Very impressive. Very impressive. However, still a relatively tough opponent he's going up against. Still, I'm taking Blachowicz.
Yeah, I think that's a
and
pretty.
And you already know why,
yeah.
Drew.
Yes, we know why.
I'm very Polish. Let's move on.
We knew that.
Next. The folks at home did not. Let's move on to the bantamweight bout. It is the unranked Peyton Talbot versus the you can't say that word. Henry Cejudo.
The cringe king.
The cringe king. I've seen about a billion memes about Henry Cejudo for the past week or so, mainly due to his height. Yeah, he's 5'4", fighting in this weight class. That's insane. Drew, talk about it.
Give a shit when anybody says Peyton Talbot should not be a favorite in this fight. Don't get me wrong, his fight at 317 was good, but he got absolutely ragdolled and wrestled for 50 minutes by a nobody when he was an almost minus 1,500 favorite, and you're going up against a guy whose nickname was Triple C because he held 2 UFC belts and a Olympic wrestling gold medal at the same time. So why is he the underdog? I mean, I don't care. I know he's a little bit out of the game. He's 16-5, but give me Henry Cejudo to win this fight. Unless Peyton Talbot knocks him out like he did at UFC 299, Henry Cejudo is going to lay on top of him for 50 minutes and win this fight, and it's going to be a boring fight. But for that reason, just give me Henry Cejudo to beat Peyton Talbot. I know Peyton Talbot's this hot prospect, this bantamweight. People were calling him the second Sean O'Malley. No, I don't get the hype. Sorry, I'm taking Cejudo.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a theme that I've noticed in the UFC the last 2 years or so, and it's fighters will go on a 3-fight losing streak and then have a really interesting turnaround. Turnaround could be for the good or for the better. You look at the guy who's fighting at the top of this card, same situation, losing to the same guy on the top of this card as well. I'm going to take Cejudo as well. I think that his last 3 losses are against tough opponents, Yudong, Merab, obviously, and then Sterling.
Well, we're not even calling the Yudong loss a loss because he got eye-poked in the 3rd round, and they called it a decision, which shouldn't happen. It should have been a no contest, but we're not going to talk about that. That's the whole Mark Goddard suspicious betting scam thing, which who even knows if it's true, but anyways. Or no, sorry, not Mark Goddard. Jason Herzog, my bad.
Herzog.
Yes, Jason Herzog. Sorry, Mark Goddard, you're the GOAT. But yeah, we're gonna.
That kind of goes into what I'm saying, where it's I think I'm expecting a little bit of a better turnaround for himself here and kind of shoot back up the rankings. I'm gonna take Cejudo as well. Let's move on to the third. Moving a little bit quickly today. No, it seems like we're moving faster than we normally are. We're going up to the flyweight bout. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Dana came out and said this, but there is a flyweight championship bout right after this fight. I do believe it was said that the winner of this fight here has the next title shot.
That is 1,000% correct.
It is the number 5 Tatsuro Taira versus the number 2 Brandon Moreno. This might be one of the most entertaining fights of the card.
I agree, but I for once I'm looking at this going, why the hell is Moreno a dog? I get that Tatsuro Taira lost a close 5-round decision with Brandon Royval, but Moreno was a 2-time flyweight champ. You know, he went toe-to-toe with those 4 fights with Figgy that were just, probably some of the best in the history of the flyweight division. So why is Brandon Moreno a dog to Tatsuro Taira? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Give me Brandon Moreno to win this fight, probably by decision. I think it's going to be a grappling masterclass, but Moreno's going to come out on top just because, he touched gold and Tatsuro Taira has not. So for that reason, give me Brandon Moreno to upset Tatsuro Taira.
As always, odds are subject to change. Right now, Moreno's a minus 102. Tatsuro is a minus 118. So very close. And so who knows what's going to happen on fight day. These two fighters are very, very identical. Both 5'7", have a 70-inch reach, arm length, and a leg range of 38 inches. You got to fill me in a little bit here. I watched enough of their fights. Good blend of styles from both of these guys. But is this going to what kind of fight should we expect from this one here, Drew?
I think you're going to look at a fight where these two fighters could not be more close in style, stature, size, everything. Even the build, they look like almost carbon copies of each other.
Yeah.
But they're both high-level strikers. They both have elite grappling. For some reason, I guess people are just riding the Tatsuro Taira high horse. I like I said, no offense to Taira, but I just don't get why he's a favorite against Moreno. I think the odds should probably be flipped. Taira should be a slight dog, but I think this fight's gonna be razor close. But I'm just giving it to Moreno just based on experience and the wars that he's been in with some of these guys, where it seems like Brandon Moreno's the Superman of this division at times. I mean, he goes into these wars, he takes long layoffs and comes back like nothing happened. I think he's just a better all-around fighter with a little bit higher fight IQ than Taira, and that's no disrespect to Taira. I think Brandon Moreno's up there with probably the best active flyweight. I think in my book I probably have it number 2. So for that reason, I think we're just going to go with Brandon Moreno in this fight.
I agree with you, but I'm going to take Tatsuro. I think the one loss on his record speaks volumes. I think there is such a thing as a guy doesn't know how to lose in the UFC. I mean, stay with me on this. I feel like guys, they have almost like that aura. Not aura, that's a bad term. I hate that term. But like almost like a mentality of they kind of, I guess, flow state, I guess is the term you're looking for. I might have to just cut this from the video. We're going to move on. I completely lost what I was trying to fucking say.
It's all right. It happens. We're not a big deal.
Essentially what I'm saying, fuck it, we're moving on. We're cutting that. We're cutting that. We're cutting that from the video. I had no idea what I was trying to say there. I am going to take Tatsuro though. Like I said, the one loss on his record is very appealing to me, and I don't know if Brandon's the guy who can give him a second one. Care to respond?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what you were trying to say.
I'm trying to make this a fast episode, so we're going to move on to the flyweight title bout versus Joshua Van, the number 1 ranked contending Joshua Van, and the champion, reigning, defending Alex Pantoja. Now, for a little bit of UFC history for you folks, Joshua Van, for lack of a better term, stole this position from Brandon Royval.
He did.
Van was nowhere near this position to be contending for a title, even have a title shot. By most metrics, Van was at least 3 years away from getting this opportunity.
You are 100% correct.
Over the summer, June 28th, Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. It's on YouTube right now. I don't know which UFC page posted it. Go watch it. It's one of the greatest UFC fights that has ever existed. It went to decision, which most people are like, how can that be? Because there was more significant strikes in this fight ever than any other UFC fight in UFC history. It was an absolute bloodbath, figuratively and literally, and Van walked away with it, and he proved that he deserved to be in the situation he is now, Drew.
I agree with you, and I watched that fight live, and I thought going into the last minute of the third round, that Joshua Van was going to lose that fight, and everybody that wants some context, go watch. I was at this one.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because he fought 3 weeks before, broke a bone. I think he either broke his leg, foot, hand, or something, and then took a fight 3 weeks later and put on this absolute masterclass. And he stole that fight from Brandon Royval with 19 seconds left in the third round when he dropped him. And that sealed the fight. That was it. The arena was absolutely electric. And he's on this high of, okay, I'm the first person born after the year 2000 to get a title shot. Let's make something happen. However, we're gonna take a little bit of a stray here to this UFC thing. Alexander Pantoja reminds me of a couple guys that you and I both know and have watched a bunch. He reminds me of a UFC version of Jonathan Taves and Sidney Crosby. And let me kind of explain. He's not the biggest guy, he's not the strongest guy, and he's not the most athletic flyweight in the division, but you can go look at any game those who've ever played. Their hockey IQ is off the charts. They are always in the right spot at the right time to make the best play. And that's how I feel Alex Pantoja has fought in the UFC. I think if you have to pick a guy whose fight IQ I think I would pick Pantoja's. That's how good his fight IQ is. He uses his fight IQ to go out there and beat these guys in ways where they shouldn't lose. Like he subbed Kai Kara France. He submitted Kai Asakura. He beats you down and then he just breaks you and beats you. So for that reason, I think that Alex Pantoja's fight IQ will trump Joshua Van's knockout power, and that's not a take that I take lightly. I have gone back and forth on this fight all week, but the amount of times that you and I have both picked against Pantoja, he has shown us that we should not pick against him. And coincidentally, he also fought against the fight after Joshua Van at 317 in Vegas, and they brought Joshua Van to the octagon, and we knew this fight was happening since June, so it's glad to see it, come to fruition.
I saw a stat today. I don't know if you've seen this yet. Joshua Van is the first person in UFC history to be born in the 2000s. And
I just said that, yeah.
Belt.
Yeah, I just said that.
Did you really? I was not.
Yeah.
To.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'll cut that too. This episode's going to get
cut! Cut
beyond repair. This episode's going to come out to like 45 seconds long. I think this is going to be a fun fight. My favorite fighter is fighting in the fight after this, but I'm actually more excited for this one. Flyweight bouts are fun, man. They're fun.
You mean it's either 0 to 100. There's no in between.
First of all, these guys are so small. The only thing they have really in their arsenal is speed, and that's where their power comes from. Is just how fast they can throw punches and how fast they move. Guys who take down really well, guys who wrestle really well. I mean, they look like rats clawing for a piece of cheese. I mean, like it's so quick. Flyweight bouts are so fun to watch. I really wish there was more respect in the weight class. That being said, I like Van a lot. After the Royval fight, I went back and watched a lot of his body of work. Even in the build up to this episode, I watched a lot of his body of work, and I think he's a great fighter. But I don't think he gets this one, mainly for the reason you said. I think Pantoja's fight IQ is sensational, but so Van just being so young and Pantoja being this just very well-seasoned vet with 4 title defenses, it's going to be really hard to try to strip that away from him, and I don't think he does this. Now, that being said, I do think, I don't know if we'll ever see a rematch between these two, but I do definitely see Van one day getting the belt because he has a very unique, like you said, the striking power for him is unlike anybody else in the division. In the weight class, excuse me. This is not the last we see of Van. His career is not going to, take a nosedive after this, but I will give this fight to Pantoja.
I agree with you. I think that you said it best that Pantoja's getting up there in age. I think 5 years down the line or 6 years down the line, we see Joshua Van with the 13 pounds of, golden leather wrapped around his waist and holding that championship belt. But as of right now, I think that this division is too full of seasoned vets for a guy that's so young like Van to really, get to the top. Give him 5 years, we could be talking about the greatest flyweight in UFC history. We just don't know where the limit is for this kid. He is sensational, he's great, and only time's going to tell how well or how good he really is.
Yeah, most people, which Drew, remind me. I think I understand the theory, but try to help explain the folks at home. The heavier the weight class, the longer they can go in their career. Correct? Or is it opposite?
Not necessarily. That's kind of been one of the oldest tales of the UFC. Are heavyweights more durable, or is it the guys young? I mean, you talk about the guys at heavyweight, they aren't as active, but they take a lot more damage. And also, speed is critical at flyweight, where you don't really have to be fast to survive at heavyweight. You just have to be strong. So you can kind of go on. It's kind of like 50-50. Is it the smaller weight class or the bigger? So you could kind of justify it either way. But I feel like this is one of the divisions where you're not going to take a lot of damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly, because the difference is the heavyweight guys can take more damage, but also the higher up you go at a weight class, the more knockout power guys typically have, right? It's just
that is correct. But the only thing that I will say with these little guys, or sorry, not little guys, smaller guys, is that once you lose your speed, you can't compete at the level that you could.
Yeah.
Speed kills in this division more than any other division. You don't have to be strong, you just have to be fast.
Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is I think Pantoja's 28, 29?
No, he's older than that, I believe. I believe he's in his 30s, but I could be wrong. Let's use Dr. Google to double check real quick. He is 35.
What the fuck was I looking at that I said he was 28?
Maybe an article from 7 years ago?
Maybe. All right, that's getting cut too. Anyway,
Cut!
Okay, well, I guess that proves my point. Yeah, we're not seeing too much of Pantoja left in the UFC. We're just it's just fact of the matter, right? Not that much time left. Whether he vacates, I'd say this. We're going way beyond the realm of this episode. I can totally see in however many years, however whenever he wants to do it, whether it's in the next 2 or 3, if Pantoja vacates the belt, I can definitely see Josh Van being one of the people who steps up to fight for it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think probably I would give Pantoja probably 3 or 4 more years. I'd say he probably fights till he's about 38, maybe. He looks absolutely phenomenal at 35. He looks excuse me. He doesn't seem to be slowing down with age. He seems to be getting more seasoned and better, which usually we see him go the other way. But I think he's probably got 3 more good years left at the very least, probably more. And then we see the rise of Joshua Van back to the top and holding that belt. And I don't know who it's going to be against. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Van and Tyra at the end of the day, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that the first poster that I have up here was the Topuria versus Oliveira fight, which everyone forgets that Pantoja also fought on that card against Cara France. Forgot about that. Have it up there. Let's move on to the main event. Merab Dvalishvili versus Peter Yan 2. This fight happened before. I'm going to come out and just say right now, everyone knows Merab is my favorite fighter. I am taking Merab to win again, simply because I think people blew the first fight out of proportion, and in discourse online or however you want to rate fights, everyone wanted to say that their first fight was close. It was not. It wasn't. If you think it was close, you're delusional. Merab,
well, in terms of a Merab fight, it was close. He came the closest to beating Merab, but this fight, I'm not even gonna beat around the bush. Merab's gonna 49-46 him. Jan might steal the last round, but I see it either being 50-45 or 49-46 across the board. And that's the scene. And that's the scene. In my Joey Diaz voice, that's the scene. That's end the episode right there. Done. That's all she wrote.
I'm trying to find the odds on this fight right now because the UFC.
Merab's minus 410.
Yeah, that's insane.
Merab's gonna win by decision. If you want my hammer play of the night, Merab will beat Peter Yan by decision, 49-46 across the board. That's the scene.
I'm gonna take Merab. You said decision?
Yes.
I'm taking Merab by submission in the 3rd round.
I don't know about that. I think Jan's grappling and takedown defense is too good. And keep in mind, Jan is a former champ, so he's used to going 5 rounds, which is the only reason why I'm saying that he's not gonna get submitted in the 3rd.
I agree with you, and also I understand that a majority of Merab fights just go to the cards, right? Unless your name's Sean O'Malley, then you get absolutely
don't talk trash about Sean O'Malley. We're gonna cut that too. Cut that out. Cut. Blistered. Cut.
Most Merab fights go to the cards. So do you want to hear my hot take that I had?
Sure.
I texted Drew about 20 minutes prior to the episode recording. I go, I got an insane hot take. Merab is just Dricus du Plessis with champion level wrestling.
About that, I think Dricus' wrestling's pretty good. He just got dominated by Khamzat Chimaev, which Merab is a 135-pound version of Chimaev. That's the end of the story.
No, my point being is that the whole like Dricus meme where it's like I might pull out a big hammer. I don't actually think if you go watch UFC Countdown, which they do a great job producing those. The
Countdown episode for this week was amazing.
They get better and better every single card. But if you go watch the card, Jan's in his like training facility in wherever he is, Vegas or whatever. Or no, he went to United Emirates, and he's in his training facility and he's watching film from his last fight. He's trying to break down Merab and what he's gonna do, and he's like super locked in and focused. And Merab, like they cut to Merab having like a cookout with his buddies. He flew in from Georgia. This dude does not like train for a specific fight. He just knows he's fighting and then just does whatever he wants. I'm gonna say, I changed my decision. I said, Merab by submission in the 3rd round. I'm gonna say Merab by random bullshit in 5.
I could see that. He just throws Peter Yan out of the cage, and that's the end of the night, and that's just end of story.
What is I haven't checked this since last card. What are the current pound for pound rankings?
I believe it's Islam, Ilya, Merab, but I could be wrong.
So current men's pound for pound, it is Islam, Ilya, Merab, Hamzat, Pantoja, Pereira, Volk, Tom, Dreykus, and then Max at 10. Jack dropped all the way to 11. He dropped 2 spots after the fight. I understand why Islam's up there because he just won, but me personally, I would put Ilya and Merab up there before him simply because they just do it all, man. Jan said it himself. If you go watch Countdown, everyone assumes this is going to be a wrestling match. Merab can strike. I mean, he'll stand. He's not gonna make the decision to stand toe to toe with you. I mean, he's got the UFC record for most takedowns. He passed Georges St. Pierre like I don't know this year.
Last fight. Sandhagen. He landed like.
No,
he landed over 20 takedowns.
I thought it was against Nurmagomedov.
No, he beat Nurmagomedov earlier in the year, and then he beat O'Malley, and then he broke the record against Sandhagen his last fight.
I thought he broke the record versus Nurmagomedov. I don't know why I'm forgetting about that. Anyway, this is the 4th time we have talked about Merab this year.
Well, right? let's backtrack just a little bit. If Merab defends his belt this year or this time, it will be the first time in UFC history we've had a champ successfully defend a title 4 times in 1 calendar year, which is a record that nobody thought would be possible.
So he's currently tied for the record. There's a couple guys who have defended it 3 times in a year. Pereira is one of them. That was an
I believe Ronda Rousey was one of them as well.
Yeah, probably. It's not the record for most fights in a year. I think that's owned by Kevin Holland and someone else with like 5. I can't think of who the other guy was, but I know Kevin Holland's the guy. That's where his meme comes from. I mean, Drew, you and I have gone back and forth about this probably for the last like 3 months or so. Is like, when does Merab get considered the bantamweight GOAT?
Here's my thing: is that if he defends his title this Saturday, and he has one more title defense, I think he passes Dominic Cruz on that list, just based on resume, title defenses, total fights, and everything like that. Only because I feel like Dominic Cruz's level of competition was just a little bit higher than Merab's was. And we all know that having a UFC record doesn't mean you're the GOAT at something. And that's not to be disrespectful, because Jim Miller's by no means a GOAT, but he has the most wins. And Derek Lewis is by no means a GOAT, but he has the most knockout wins. So we're just putting that out there.
Derek Lewis is the GOAT of post-Octagon interviews, though. That is
that is
certainty.
Correct. I'm just saying that I think that Merab.
My wife next.
I'm just saying that Merab needs to beat Dominic Cruz in every single aspect, and then he's the GOAT, just because his strength schedule wasn't as good as Cruz's. But I think that Merab is up there.
I mean, you're starting to sound like the college football playoff committee, but I can understand what you're saying there. Yeah, we're both taking Merab. Let's move on to the final round here, trying to get a little bit of a quicker episode out today. These 40-minute ones are killing the both of us. Drew, obviously the next string of fights was announced. You and I are both excited. The first fight in the non-pay-per-view era is going to be sensational. People who are complaining about Patty and Justin going after each other, shut up, go back under your rock. I don't want to hear your opinion. You don't know what you're talking about. That's the end of that statement. But, Drew, I don't know if you follow along what happened with the UFC India Instagram. It got leaked. Don't know if this is officially happening, that the next big card to be announced will be Oliveira versus Holloway for the BMF belt. Did you see this or no?
I did see that. I believe, was it UFC India or was it UFC Brazil? I know it was one of the two.
It was one of them. I thought it was India.
It could have been. I don't remember who. I saw it leaked, and it was in a language I could not read, so I didn't pay much attention to it. Anyways, I digress. Well, it was leaked in a different language than translated, but whatever. Anyways, if that is true,
I guess my question to you is, what was your thoughts about that fight possibly taking place?
I wasn't surprised. That's what they both want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they both want. Oliveira wants the rematch, as he got knocked out in Max Holloway in the first round. And so there's no reason why we shouldn't get to see those two. I think they're both at the exact same point in their career where they're just ever so slightly past their primes, but they both look so damn good in their last 2 fights. I would love to see a 5-round war between these guys, and I think it's something that, even casual fans would want to see as well, because it's 2 of the most known names in that division right now, in Oliveira and Max Holloway.
Have these guys ever fought?
They have. Oliveira got knocked out in the first round, I believe. I could be wrong.
Does the I'm trying to think back to Dustin's retirement. Does the BMF belt, is that just a 3-rounder? Because it's not official.
No, it was a 5 round.
They do fight for 5 in the BMF.
That is correct. Yeah, it was the UFC Brazil's Twitter account. But no, Holloway won their first round via TKO after Oliveira suffered an esophageal injury at 1 minute and 39 seconds in the first round.
How long ago was that? I know you. I don't know.
That was in 2015, so 10 years ago.
Jesus Christ. I don't know.
He said it's not happening in January, but it expects to happen soon, and I believe it's probably going to be in March, if I had to guess, probably February or March, because I know they're doing an event in Sydney, Australia in 325. They're doing one in Mexico in February, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do something, in Brazil or something in March, which, would be awesome to see Oliveira go back to Brazil.
The second part of that question is, do you see Oliveira retiring after this one?
Absolutely not. I think he's still got some gas in the tank. I mean, you looked at how dominant he beat Gamrot.
But do you? But you don't want him to do go the Jose Aldo route where he just is a shell of his former self every time he steps into the ring.
Did you watch the Gamrot fight?
Yeah, I did. But did you watch the last 5 fights that Aldo had? He looked bad, man.
I know. I'm saying I don't think Oliveira's at that point yet. I still think he's got 2 good years left before he hits that point. And people were talking down on Mateus Gamrot, but that was a short notice fight against a guy who's got really, really good ground game that could have gone tit for tat with Oliveira's, and Oliveira made him look like he didn't even belong, and that was a short notice fight. When you and I both know, short notice fights often equal bullshit. Like we look at the Malcolm Wellmaker fight, who nobody made his UFC debut on 48 hours notice and shut down the biggest prospect in that division. A nobody who's literally working construction left his job early to get on a plane and go make weight to weigh in and embarrass that caliber of a prospect. Short notice fights often are just the biggest bullshit, period. Like, something always happens. So for him to, say, oh, he just beat Gamrot, but when you realize it was on literally less than a week's notice, that you have to put some respect on Oliveira's name. And I don't care that he's getting up there in age. Oliveira's still got a few more good years left in the tank.
I think short notice fights are the truest expression of the sport. Because he just talked about it with Yan, in his training facility, watching tape from the last fight. It's all this prep work. It's all this mindset, whatever. The famous quote: "Everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth." Right? It's the same thing. It's like all these guys come in with plans and strategies. You've seen it in so many title fights as well, where guys who are defending the belt just want to take it easy and just go to a card so they can maintain it. And all these plans are just bad and they're boring. And like when the fight doesn't go their way, they don't know how to get out of it because they've only been prepping for one thing. However, these short notice fights, it's literally just like you just got to go out there and you literally do whatever you know how to do to fight this guy. There's no prep work. You don't know who this guy is. You know how he fights. You don't know what he's been doing in his camp. You don't know what he's doing on these construction sites. It's the truest form of fighting, and that's why everyone loves them, and that's also why it produces some of the best fights in the UFC history.
I agree with you on that one. I think that's exactly why these short notice fights people need to be putting more attention on.
Well, that's going to do it for the final Inside the Fence episode of the pay-per-view era. Me and Drew have kind of been talking a little bit. We're thinking about making some changes once we get into the Paramount Plus era here. Might do some interesting things. You might see us a little bit more. We might branch off and do a couple of different things. We're both excited. We're going to workshop it a little bit more, but this Saturday, November 8th. Am I correct, or is it 6th?
In December 8th?
Did I say November? Cut that too.
Sorry, December 6th.
Cut! This entire episode is going to be 35 seconds long. December 6th, UFC 323 from Las Vegas. It starts at 9 p.m. Central Time. Do the conversions wherever you're living and listening. I'm John Massey, that's Drew Johnson, and we'll see you all next time. Enjoy the fights wherever you're watching, even though we know where you're watching. That's got to be the last time we say it. That's the last time we say the outro.
That is. I've never said it, so I want to say it.
Go ahead. You say it. You say it, Drew. You put the microphone.
Wherever you will be watching, even though we know where you're really watching.